Hey there, fish tubers. Jeremy Wright here. Today is, let's see, Friday, February 9, 2024, and I'm doing a little bit of water maintenance on my little Nano shrimp jar. So this is a half-gallon, and this other one down here that, let's see, I've just stopped siphon on. This is about a 3/4 to 1 gallon, maybe a little bit under 1 gallon. This has been running long term, and I apologize for the reflection of the sink there, but let me give you a view here. This one is sort of a deep substrate pool filter sand, cherry shrimp, lots of plants above it, and you can really see how over the course of a year and a half, the sand has stratified. That is cyanobacter. It's going to be in basically all aquatic ecosystems. That's fine. But you can see it's only down deeper in the substrate. It's not in the upper layers. And that's great. That's perfect, in fact. In this system, even though it's just sand, you can see there's quite a bit of biodiversity. There are cryptocorans, there's an embulia, there are guppy grass, a swassertang, mosses, pond snails, cherry shrimp, and this little system's just chugging along, and it's been chugging along for a while, even though the cherry shrimp are the most recent addition here. So I'll be doing a slow water fill also with that air hose that you saw me draining it with. But let's get a look at the other system. This one has only been running a couple of weeks. I just did the first water change on it. It has a handful of plants, no snails yet, but it also has some Neo shrimp. These are red relies, and I'm going to give you a zoom on these guys. Hopefully we can get them in focus, maybe not. Curve of the glass is posing a problem at the moment. But yeah, we can see they're just rocking along, nibbling away, eating stuff on the moss. And I was going to do something that I knew was a bit dangerous. I had a hypothesis that I may be able to introduce some staghorn algae, which is a red algae, into this system as a supplemental food source for the shrimp. And after doing a little bit of research, I decided against it, but I haven't necessarily decided against introducing a green algae. So let me show you some of the algae samples I've been sticking over here. So that's just the green algae. This is just really common hair algae stuff. And I do actually individually try and identify these under the microscope, but for the most part, that's, a green hair algae, and it's nothing special. You'll find it in just about any aquarium. If you don't find it in your aquarium, I'm tempted to say you're doing something wrong, because it should be in just about every established aquatic ecosystem, even though it won't take over. So in this tank, looking at that hornwort toward the back, that's sort of the top plant that we see that's kind of growing up and then over to the right toward the 3 o'clock area. I think when I'm looking closely at this, sorry, my hand's not very stable. I had a right hand injury years ago, and I'm just not stable with my camera hand. So looking at that, I can see some algae growing on there. And this was obviously introduced from another tank here. I say obviously, if you know me or my place, you would understand this came from another tank. But this is one of the smaller systems I have. By no means is a half gallon the smallest system I've got. We don't even have to look far to see a smaller one. So like this little system here, it's just like a little snack container from Costco. This is probably a quart or maybe a little more, and it's been running, gosh, way over a year, and there are definitely others like this. So Kirkland brand, yeah, Costco stuff. Oh, this one's even smaller than that, and it's been running a long time. I don't even know what all's in there, but it definitely has some little invertebrate snails and such. And that one's been going similarly long time. This one's been going probably a year and a half at a guess, but as I was saying, this one up here is only a couple of weeks. And this was a half-gallon jalapeno jar, so the jar itself cost me, like, with the jalapenos in it, less than $5. But you know what? I'm going to show you some of my other weird stuff. These are not necessarily pretty, but little terrarium that one of my friends made for me, and just some sample jars. And they have different mosses, like that one's Christmas moss. That one's, I don't know, probably just an algae. This one over here is an Elidea and looks like some Siswassertang. Over here was probably, I think that's probably a staghorn algae sample. And yeah, I keep that stuff and try to keep it alive and growing. This algae here was from the bottom of a local lake. And I thought it was interesting when I was kind of peeking at what was in the bottom of the lake. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm going to bring it home. And it's been here for, I don't know, 2 years, something like that, in various spots and places. But those are, just tiny systems. You can keep tiny systems going. Just keep the water clean. Back over here, other systems. Now this is temporary. I wouldn't recommend doing this long term, but my endlers needed a temporary home. So this is about a gallon sized deep substrate, soil under sand, plants, and it's got some endlers living in here while their home is being renovated. So, whatever, cool. You can also look back a couple of weeks and find where I lost these endlers after I was pulling them out of their former home, and I was super scared. But anyway, back to the small system in question that we're talking about today. Nano, half gallon jar, red really shrimp, which are Neocaridina, just like cherry shrimp. They're just not entirely red, they're like partially red. So maybe I can give you a better view from this side. That's a pretty decent shrimp view. But the idea here is no longer what I had 10 minutes ago. It is now to just introduce a little bit of green algae, which is just going to give the shrimp a little bit more to snack on. They're noted good algae eaters, but they don't seem to like red algae, which is apparently tougher, more fibrous, and it's just not very appetizing to them, according to the interwebs. And Castor Kitty's talking to us again. He said hi. He said, "Pet me right meow," and he waits for no one. Anyway, I didn't really have a ton to share today beyond the fact that I'm about to introduce green algae into this little shrimp jar as biodiversity and additional food source for the shrimp. If you have any specific knowledge on this, I would be very thankful if you add something in the comments. Tell me what your experience were with cherry shrimp or neo shrimp and green hair algae type stuff. I'd love to know what your experiences are. Otherwise, I just enjoy this thing. Like the plant on the far left here, Mayaka and Siswassertang. Toward the front here, an Ambulia, looks like Abuse, and a Myria. I think that's a South American water milfoil, kind of center screen right now, and it's a small plant. It was broken off of a larger one. And then hornwort, coontail, guppy grass, red root floater, and there's a little bit of hair grass down there. So yeah, it's going to be a relatively diverse system, but I expect it's going to fill in kind of slowly because I'm certainly not going to be adding any fertilizers or anything. I want the water to stay pretty clean and clear for these shrimp because it's unfiltered and it's going to remain unfiltered. Anyway, if you like this sort of thing, give me a like, subscribe, comment. I would love to hear from you. Beyond that, I'm going to bail and go clean up some other aquatic systems. Hope you have a great day. Adios.